Thank you for your interest in the West Virginia BEAD Challenge Process. As required under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, Broadband Equity Access and Deployment Program, the West Virginia Office of Broadband is launching the West Virginia BEAD Challenge Process. As required by the National Telecommunications Information Administration, the BEAD Challenge Process will determine locations in West Virginia that are eligible for the BEAD program. The West Virginia Office of Broadband has partnered with Ready.net to administer the BEAD Challenge portal. Registration for the BEAD Challenge process is available to all eligible challengers. Federal guidelines for the BEAD Challenge process limit the permissible challengers to the following entity types: broadband providers, units of local government, and nonprofit organizations. Additional information about the BEAD Challenge process is available on broadband.wv.gov. Please review the BEAD Challenge process instructions on the website for more information. Eligible entities are strongly encouraged to obtain a license to the FCC Broadband Serviceable Location Fabric from CostQuest to facilitate participation in the West Virginia BEAD Challenge process. 2 licenses are made available for potential challengers depending on challenger type. Tier D licenses have been made available for broadband internet service providers. Tier E licenses have been made available for units of local government and nonprofit organizations. Additional details concerning the FCC Broadband Serviceable Location Fabric license process are available at the following websites: Fabric License Overview, Fabric License Instructions, CostQuest Licensing webpage. We look forward to working with you throughout the BEAD Challenge process. Access to the Challenge portal will require registration in advance. For assistance with the registration process, please contact WV Help Desk at ready.net. This walkthrough will provide an overview of the West Virginia BEAD Challenge process. We will cover the challenge process from registration to filing challenges and the rebuttal process.
From this registration page, you can complete the registration form, which will allow the West Virginia Office of Broadband to review your registration request to determine whether you meet the requirements for eligible challenger under the BEAD Challenge Process guidance. You'll just fill this out with information about your entity and your primary user and contact. You can select from the different eligible permissible challenger types, including broadband service provider, unit of local government, and nonprofit. You'll be asked, based on the organization type, to provide different types of information, ranging from your FRN number if you're a broadband provider to your EIN. You'll be asked to provide address and, if applicable, share documentation of your registration with the West Virginia Secretary of State's office. And you can also submit any additional documentation to validate your organization's identity. Once you've completed filling out this form, you'll hit submit, and you should receive this confirmation pop-up. And once you've submitted this, you should receive an email letting you know that your submission was received. And if your registration is approved, you will receive an email from the West Virginia Office of Broadband sent directly from the portal itself to provide you with a sign-in link. You'll just click on that link and it will sign you in. So once you are logged in, the landing page is your challenge dashboard. This is where challenges will be displayed after you've submitted them. You can either start challenging by clicking the Add Challenge button, or you can just click on the Challenge Map tab directly and start looking at the map and reviewing things before you start to build your challenge. Here's where you'll have access to the same filters and layers that are available in the public map, so that you can focus your review of the map as well as the development of your challenges. So you can remove or add locations based on the view that you want and which eligibility type you want to see in the map. You can also look at the building types. If you want to look just at community anchor institution building types, then you can toggle down so it's only displaying the community anchor institution. So here you can see there's a library, a healthcare provider, and a community support organization. You can also just go to a purely CAI versus non-CAI view. You can also filter by the funding types and the level of service within those funding types. You can either show the locations that have been funded by particular programs or hide them so that it's only showing locations that have not been funded by those programs. You can do the same for broadband technologies. So you can filter by locations that are served by fiber, or you can hide locations served by fiber. And the same thing with ISPs as well. There's also a layer to toggle on and off the census block groups. You can change the underlying base map. And another function that you can use in this view is to upload polygons to select locations for your review. And in order to upload a zone or a polygon, you just click into this portal. You'll need to name your zone, and then you can provide tags if you plan on adding a lot of zones so that you can more easily track them. But you'll need to define the zone boundaries. You can do so by drawing a polygon, or you can do so by uploading a polygon directly. If you choose to upload a polygon directly, make sure that it is just a shape and there's no point data in it, because the platform does not currently support the upload of polygons with point data. So once you've uploaded your polygon in the form of a KML or KMZ, and you'll go ahead and save the zone if it looks the way that you intended. And then once you have it saved, you can click into the individual zone. And then with the zone that you've uploaded, you'll be able to see a breakdown of the locations within the polygon that you've uploaded. That includes the breakdown of building type, as well as the BEAD eligibility of the broadband serviceable locations in that zone. So you can see here that there are a total of 119 eligible unserved locations and 42 ineligible locations, 3 of which are considered served and 39 of which are funded. You can download a list of locations, and it will provide you with the location ID and the eligibility status of those locations. And then from either the challenge map page or the dashboard page itself, you can start to build a challenge. And the challenge types are all broken out into challenge categories. There's planned or existing service for a service that is already deployed but not yet shown up on the FCC national broadband map in the case of existing service, or in the case of planned service, anything that will be deployed by June 30th, 2024. There's also 2 types of challenges related to enforceable commitments. That challenge can be to say that a location or locations should or are covered by an enforceable commitment, or something that's currently labeled on the map as an enforceable commitment, or funded should not be. For provider service level, there's a wide range of possibilities here, including challenging availability, that the reported service is not available, speeds and latency, that those do not meet what is advertised, that there are data caps in place at or below 600 gigabytes per month, that the technology reported is incorrect, or that the service is only available as a business service. Then under anchor institution challenge types, you can challenge to say that a location is an anchor institution, or that something currently labeled as an anchor institution is not an anchor institution. For the anchor institutions that are on the map, you can challenge the designation of whether or not they are considered to be served based on a threshold of 1 gigabit per second symmetrical service. So if you just pick a challenge type, there will be different prompts based on each challenge type. So if you were to file a challenge for planned service, as the example that we'll use here, you would come in and indicate the technology type, the speeds that will be deployed, confirm that it meets the latency requirements, and confirm that it will be available at business and residential locations, just residential or just business locations. And you'll also need to confirm that the service will be deployed by June 30th, 2024. And then once you've input the details of the challenge, the next step is to select the locations that you would like to include in your challenge. There are a number of ways to do so. If you're selecting a small number of locations, especially if they're grouped, you can use a shift and drag to select them in bulk and add them to the challenge. If you decide that you've selected any locations that you did not intend to, or if this was just a wrong selection altogether, you can go ahead and remove those locations. You can also individually add the locations one by one. And again, you can remove those if you'd like. If you have uploaded or added any polygons or zones, you can select the locations using that zone, or you can upload a list of locations from a CSV. The CSV needs to be a single column with a header that says location IDs. Once you've selected those locations, you can see them on a map. You can see here that they fall within a zone that's been created and was used by the export of the locations within this zone. If you need to save your spot at any point, one good way to do so is to download the locations that you've added so that you can come back and re-upload and reselect these locations easily. But the challenges themselves do not save. So if you need to save your spot and step away for a while, we recommend downloading this locations spreadsheet to lock in those that you've selected, especially if you've done so manually. Keep in mind that there is a limitation on the number of locations that can be included in a specific challenge. Currently, that limit is set to 500 locations. That doesn't mean that you cannot submit more than that, but if you do submit more than 500 locations, it needs to be spread across several challenge submissions. It is recommended that you keep the challenge data as focused in an area as possible, supporting and facilitating efficient and accurate review of the evidence. Once you have gone in and selected the locations and verified that they are indeed the locations that you would like to select, you'll need to add in any evidence that supports your case. You can upload them in the relevant sections. Just keep in mind that the total file upload size is capped at around 500 megabytes, and if an individual file exceeds 100 megabytes in size, please do compress that into a zip file. And then once you've uploaded the evidence that you want, the next step is to review the attestation and confirm that you have legal authority to submit this challenge on behalf of the organization, and that everything to the best of your knowledge is true, complete, and accurate. Then you will submit the challenge. Files will be uploaded, challenge will be created, and then it will show up in your dashboard. If at any point you want to review the challenge to make sure that it was correct, you'll just click on that View Details button. You can see the evidence that you uploaded. You can see the list of locations. If you want to make sure that a specific location or address was included, you can use the search bar here just to make sure that it was included as intended. And this is where your challenges will be displayed. If any of them are determined to need a revision, then they'll show up in this tab. And as they are processed, you'll be able to see them in the other tabs. And if you decide that you have submitted a challenge that is not accurate and you do not want it to be reviewed and want to resubmit it, then you are able to withdraw the challenge. This cannot be undone. So once you've withdrawn a challenge, you will need to resubmit if that is the intention. So now, if you fast forward to a point where revisions have been requested for your challenge, you'll see the status updated in the status column of the table. And you'll go in and see what needs revision. That includes a note from the broadband office with the request, and here in this case says please submit additional evidence to demonstrate that plan service will be deployed by June 30th, 2024. In this case, maybe you just forgot to add a permit or something like that. You can upload that, and you can just provide a narrative to say uploading missing permit. And then you will see the status of the challenge shift to changes submitted, pending further review from the office. Then, as soon as the challenge has undergone an initial review by the broadband office, you'll be able to see the determination in the review summary. The status will change to initial processed, and you'll be able to see how many of the challenged locations were rejected, meaning they did not meet the minimum level of evidence, or that they were accepted as meeting the minimum level of evidence, not necessarily that the challenges were sustained. And then after the challenge phase has closed and the broadband office has completed that initial review for all of the range of challenges that have been submitted, anything that is open for rebuttal will be available to rebut in your challenge dashboard. So you'll be able to see which challenges you submitted. If you are a broadband provider or an ISP and there are challenges filed against your reported service, then they will show up under this tab, and they'll only be available for rebuttal for your organization. Whereas other challenge types will be open for rebuttal from anyone, any permissible challenger, I should say. And so if you wanted to come in and file a rebuttal, you can look at the details, the set of locations that were challenged, and you can click over to the rebuttals tab and start building your rebuttal. If there are specific locations that you'd like to challenge, you can submit a partial rebuttal, or you can submit a rebuttal for everything. And you can also search, in addition to the location ID, you can search by the address. That's just the street address. Don't include this city, state, or zip code in that. Let's say in this case, that's really the only one that you wanted to provide a rebuttal for. Then you would deselect all, select that location, and then when you proceed, you'd be just rebutting one location. You'd provide demo evidence, and you could say, provider claiming planned service failed to obtain necessary permits from permitting authority. Submit that, confirm that you'd like to submit a rebuttal for that location. You can go in and review your details. And if you go back to the dashboard, you'll be able to see which locations or any rebuttals that you filed. Then once the broadband office has had the opportunity to review the challenges as well as the rebuttals and makes their final determinations on the challenges, you'll be able to see the status updated in your dashboard. When the status says processed, that means that the challenge submission has been fully reviewed and a determination has been made. You'll see in the locations table here a status of how many of the locations were accepted, or in this case, sustained, and how many were rejected. If you want to see the actual details, you can go in and see the review and the determination at the location level. And really, that is the process. At the end of this process, the eligibility of the locations will be updated to reflect the result of all of the challenges.
Thank you for watching this walkthrough of the West Virginia BEAD Challenge Process.